More than 4,000 nurses from across the country came to New York City to fight coronavirus during the height of the pandemic.
Kind of absorbed the whole hospital.
Janelle Orbon is one of them.
It was a no-brainer that that's where I needed to be. I was fully trained and ready to help.
Janelle left Denver, Colorado, thinking she'd be in New York for 6 weeks. She stayed for 3 months. What she learned is that medical professionals still don't know enough about the deadly virus.
We don't know what we're up against. I don't think that anybody really knows a ton about COVID.
When Janelle arrived in New York City at the end of March, it was the epicenter of the COVID-19 crisis. She wasted no time resuming her role as a critical care nurse at the hospital where she worked for 5 years.
Every floor of our hospital had transformed into a giant ICU.
What struck Janelle wasn't how many nurses came from other areas of the country, but other areas of medicine to do everything they could to save lives.
Nurses from pediatrics, from obstetrics, from oncology kind of stepped up into these roles that normally takes a nurse years to master.
Now, back home in Denver, Janelle says that city has control over the big spike it saw when 122 people died on April 24th. On that day in New York City, 437 people died. Janelle says out-of-town nurses got most of the credit when it came to fighting the virus in New York City. She says the real heroes are the nurses who were there long before the pandemic.
We were almost out of ventilators. The nurses on my old medical ICU unit said they would stay after work and manually bag breaths into patients. These are the true heroes.
The gravity of Janelle's time in New York City is still taking its toll and has changed her outlook on nursing.
Upon returning, actually talked to my boss about transitioning back into critical care full time, and I'm actually doing that now.
Janelle's experience has taught her that what's certain in the fight against COVID-19 is the unknown. She says she would come back in a heartbeat. Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
If you're watching Currents News on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button and then click on the bell to get instant updates about all of our newest content, because we are putting your faith in the news.